Casey's Revenge Tour. Casey's Revenge Tour is one of our favorite revenge tours because she landed the most amazing family. She has since been adopted, but man, Casey was in such rough shape when we got her. She was another pup that we saw at the shelter. We weren't thinking about pulling a dog that day, right? Roll eyes, because every time we go to the shelter, we're just gonna network dogs. And then we end up tagging a dog or leaving with a dog that day. But she was in really, really bad shape. She was laying down, literally shaking. Her head was, tucked under a blanket, and she was just bleeding from different areas of her body. She was covered in scabs. She didn't have any hair, or barely any hair. Her eye was completely gunked over with it was just oozing out. And she was terrified. She was terrified. She didn't understand why she was in there. It's a loud environment. And we picked her up and went straight to the vet. And just looking at a dog with her skin condition, we automatically are like, okay, scabies, we just have to be a little more careful because scabies is contagious. It's very hard for a human to catch scabies from an animal, but it's still possible. The last thing I want is scabies. Again, that's for another time. I'll tell you guys that story another time. But we took her straight to the vet, and we had her on her little carrier, and it was almost the end of the day where they weren't taking on any more appointments, but they were going to see her and hospitalize her. So we got her in, got her situated in her little kennel, and they started IV fluids because she was dehydrated, and they confirmed the next day, yeah, it's scabies. So, we understood that we needed to create a quarantine area for her. Even more so than the dogs that come in with quarantine that have an upper respiratory infection. Because when a dog has scabies, we have to make sure that we are, wearing certain gowns and gloves and disinfecting things and not tracking it in through the house. So we made a little quarantine area in our laundry room. So the minute that we got Casey home and she realized we were the people that gave out food and treats, she immediately came out of her shell. She was this super wiggly pitty until it was bath time. And then she realized we had to do bath time 3 times a week. So we had to do medicated baths basically every other day. And she was not a fan at all. But she tolerated it. And I think it made her feel a little bit better. Obviously, it gave her some relief. It gave her skin a little bit of relief. And we started her weekly injections for scabies. And within, I want to say, a week and a half, you could already see such a big difference in her skin. And after her 3rd injection was when our vet cleared her that she can go make friends. So again, her first friend was Bucky. Bucky's everyone's first friend here. He has such an amazing job. And immediately, she was not scared of Bucky. Immediately was like, friend. And we have so many videos of them rolling around together and her basically licking the inside of his mouth and running back and forth, and Bucky getting toys and trying to get her to play. And but she came out of her shell so quickly, and all of a sudden it was like this ball of energy and personality. I mean, she was like a little cannonball. She would dart from across the yard and hit you. But we got her all healthy, and we actually had a previous adopter who had been watching her story closely. And they reached out and they're like, hey, so what's going on with Casey? When is she available for adoption? And at this point, we still had to get her spayed now that her skin was completely healed. So we got her spayed, and after she healed from that, we did an intro with them first and then with their dogs, because they had a total at that point of 3 other dogs. And when they came over to meet Casey, it was love at first sight. I mean, it was like she completely forgot about who the hell we were and was like, family, and went over and was loving on the dad and loving on the mom. And so we knew that, it was going to be a good fit because they are such dedicated dog owners. They will put in the work to properly integrate her into their pack of dogs. So then we went over to their place and did a intro with their dogs. Everything went great. So we started an adoption trial run, and Casey has now been in her forever home for a few months now. And she was also part of the Texas Ranger Pet Calendar, which is, by the time you guys see this, it'll be out. And hopefully you got a copy because they sold out within a day or two last year. But she was also part of the Texas Rangers pet calendar this year. And it was just a beautiful way of like tying that ribbon and saying, Casey, your revenge tour is now complete, because someone obviously did not treat her right. She ended up in the wrong hands when she was a pup. They didn't take care of her. You know, unfortunately, you know, that happens to a lot of puppies. People hand out puppies, sell puppies to whoever can pay the price. And they wash their hands of those dogs and they don't care where they end up. And that's probably what happened to Casey. She was bred and sold to someone who didn't care about her. And now they get to see her on the Texas Rangers pet calendar. So it's a beautiful way to end that revenge tour. But Casey is definitely one of our favorite revenge tours thus far.